Hello, everyone. Heidi here from Rain Country. Glad to see you all popping in. Sorry, but I'm just feeling a little bit stiff this morning. I can't seem to move my arm, but at least my skin looks flawless. Wah, wah, wah. Boop. Hello, everyone. Popping in early again, of course. So, by the way, I've shown this before, but several years ago, one of my followers made this for me. So, what she did was she took this old a Bratz doll that she picked up secondhand, took all of the makeup off of her face, and then repainted her face so she, you know, just looks a lot nicer. And she did all that, repainted that by hand. She made little boots for her and this little patchwork skirt and apron and fixed her hair. I used to do something more like this with my hair quite a bit where I'd twist it up. I tell you what, it's such a pain with all these curls and wiry gray hairs that want to go everywhere. So I don't really do that often. Sometimes I still will, but anyway. So yeah, and I have another one too. I meant to bring over, but I have to hang her. She doesn't like sit up or stand. Excuse me, but that one is made entirely by hand. The face and the hands were all molded from clay, and then they made a similar idea where they made up, let's see, a patchwork skirt with an apron, and she's holding a basket of herbs. It's really cute. So I'll have to maybe next week. I don't want to go over there and grab it. It's right over there, but I could grab it. So anyway, just being lazy right now. But I tell you what, I get so excited before the show starts that I usually have to go to the bathroom like 5 times. Like every 5 minutes, I'm going to the bathroom while I'm waiting. I keep, okay, I gotta run to the bathroom again, which I don't really have to go. So, hands for anyone who either gets anxious or nervous or excited about something and find themselves having to go to the bathroom like every 5 minutes. That's always me. And I'm not nervous like I would be getting ready to sing a solo in front of someone, or anyone for that matter. That, even though I've done it all my life, that one scares the crud out of me. Or when I'm getting ready to put on a big dance performance with my students years ago, same way. But then once you get started, it's all cool. Anyway, so it's funny. Yeah, it's funny how that is. So anyway, yeah, so anyone who might be coming in for the first time to one of my live shows, I always like to go on 5-10 minutes before I really plan to start. And then, normally I try to start the show actually at noon my time, so on the hour. And so I kept coming on 15 minutes early. So I just set the time at 11:45 a.m. my time. But then I still come on earlier than that. I like that though because it gives for one, I'm not late. I hate being late. But also it gives more people time to kind of filter in since a lot of times the notifications can take a while to get sent out once you go live. Some people never get them at all even if they sign up to be notified. But what I'm going to do is as usual I'll wait till the hour mark to get started. So, on the actual topic. So right now it's just kind of saying hi to everyone. I see Gudrun's in here and Deb and Glenda and is that Toy? I've seen your name and I'm not sure if that's how I'm not even sure if I'm seeing it correctly. I'm pretty sure it says TOI. And let's see who else. Tracy, Chris and Mary, Anne, Barbara, let's see. Is that Mountain Linda? Teresa, Cora, Thistle Moon, Tammy Hill. Hello, everyone coming in. I know I'm not going to, Margaret, Michelle, Debbie, Lucy. I'm going to miss a whole bunch of names, but I want to shout them out while I see them. Anna. First time to the live. Cool. Expect the unexpected. Hello from Ruth. and his sweetie. Cool. Oh, I just realized these glasses, obviously, these are newer readers. They still have the little sticker on them. Sometimes I'll be wearing those things for the longest time and not realize that sticker's there because it's off to the side. But I'm pretty sure I'd probably be going, what is that? What's floating around my eye? So I thought, I was thinking I had a question or something I was going to approach before I even got into the topic, but now I don't remember what it was. I don't remember. And by the way, nobody has said this, but I want to ask again just to make sure that the settings I use on my live shows, both here and on the Rain Country 2 channel, they don't give you the option to only have commercials at the beginning, ads at the very beginning, like they do with like a video that's published, or a regular video, not a live video. And so I always have my settings, at least on this channel. I can't do that on the other channel until I'm officially monetized. Then I can do that. But for the lives, they don't give you the same options. You're basically required to monetize, which is fine, right? Because how we, pay for the time put into this. But they don't really let you opt out of not putting ads in the middle. But then I found that I could okay, I'll get to that in a minute, Salty. Is that Sally? Sorry, Sally. Sally. You've been here for so long and I just called you Salty. Hopefully you're not salty. Anyway, then I realized they gave me the option to put the ads in manually. So I thought I'm going to try that. Just select manually and then see what happens. And so far I haven't seen anything telling me I have to put the ads in. So hopefully that keeps the ads from playing in the middle of the live show. It's even worse when it's in the middle of a live show because then you got to wait until you can go to the skip ads, and then you miss a few seconds of it. It's so frustrating. And so I hate having ads in the middle of a video. I especially hate having them in the middle of a live. And right now on my second channel, I can't opt out of whatever it is they decide to do. But I was able to actually apply for monetization today because I've got well over 3,000 watch hours, which means I can't be monetized in the form of ads, but I can do super chats, but I still have to get approved. So I was able to at least fill that stuff out this morning. It only took a couple minutes since I already have this YouTube channel and I can just connect them. But so I don't know if I'll be approved by then, because it says usually takes about a month. And I'm like, really? Another whole month? That's ridiculous. So anyway, not that I try to make a big deal about super chats. And I know I don't get a lot of them in here because I always tell people that if you really want to donate and you want to make sure I'm getting all the funds that are donated, you're better off going either through PayPal. And well, PayPal is the only way I know of that you can do it, as long as you select friends or family and not merchandise. Then you can be guaranteed the person that you're donating money to is getting 100% of what you're sending. On YouTube, they take 30%. Then there's Patreon, which is, I don't know what the percentage, but it's definitely lower than YouTube. But the fun part about the super chats on YouTube is sometimes people just want to make sure their question gets seen, and it's a way they can also donate and their question gets seen, because it's going to stand out because of the bright colors, and you can't miss it when that happens. So I'm not gonna try to encourage him, but I'm also not gonna discourage him. So do whatever you feel is best. I just like people to know up front, because I think a lot of people don't realize how much of a cut that YouTube takes. And it doesn't matter in what form. It doesn't matter if it's in membership fees, which I don't have memberships here. It doesn't matter if it's in super chats. It doesn't matter if it's the ad revenue. It's all the same. They take 30%. So, okay, the question I wanted to get back to. Which video do you talk about where to purchase the silver and gold? I don't think I have it on YouTube anymore. I think it can only be found on Rumble. I kind of just got a little nervous and took anything down that was related to that. And I think because of that, the reason I buy silver, the main reason I stock up on it, I would have been talking about that in the video. So yeah, it's definitely not on YouTube. You can find it on Rumble if you go to my Rumble channel. Oh, make sure you go to the one linked in the description down below. Both of the ones you'll find on there are mine, but there's one that I have all the playlists set up on. That's the channel. And if you go to the playlist tab and scroll down, you'll find the playlist on all that topic. And that video is in there. So just want to say thank you for always answering all my questions, especially when I think it's a silly question, but I'm just starting this journey. You know what? Sometimes there really are some silly questions, but it's rare that I actually get them. And yes, I'm happy to do that. I thought I saw another one. It wasn't in all caps, but somebody asked something. Anyone cook bake with coconut oil? I know that's just to anyone. I do. I do a lot of I do a lot with coconut oil. So I know some people just don't do fried foods at all. We do. I'm not afraid of them. But the only thing I really like to fry in is the refined coconut oil. So if you don't like the taste of coconut oil, you can get organic refined coconut oil. It's still going to be a lot better for you than other oils. I personally don't think it loses much nutritionally when it's refined, especially if you get it. There's different ways they can refine it. If they're using chemicals, then it wouldn't be organic anyway. So organic refined coconut oil is what I like to use for frying potatoes, unless I have some beef tallow on hand from a beef roast or something. I'll set that aside. I don't even bother like rendering it down. I like all that flavor, and then I might fry my potatoes in that. I just made almond chicken the other night, and so I'll fry in the coconut oil. And here's the reason I like coconut oil for that is because it has a high smoke point, which means it's not going to go rancid when you're cooking with it at a higher heat. So it's safe for frying in. And the bonus to that is like I didn't realize. Okay, so what happened was I pulled out a big package of chicken breasts that I got from Butcher Box and just thought, I'm going to barbecue all these up. And so we ate on that the first night for dinner. Then I decided to take the rest and make almond fried chicken, thinking, we'd have it for a couple nights. There was a lot there. But here's the thing about the coconut oil is that how a lot of times when you fry something like a breaded something, it's best to eat it fresh because it doesn't have that crispy crunchiness to it. But the coconut oil there's something about it that helps kind of preserve that crunchiness to the batter. So that's another reason I prefer coconut oil. So yeah, I use it all, but you can get the refined and you don't get the coconut flavor. No coconut flavor, no coconut smell. And then if I do want it, then I use the refined or the unrefined, excuse me, like when I'm making the coconut battered fish of some kind, be it cod or halibut, and then I'll fry that up. So I'll make the same kind of batter like I do for the almond chicken or the orange chicken. And then I'll just throw a bunch of coconut in there, and then I'll use the unrefined just to get more of that coconut flavor in there. So you can do it either way. I thought there was another question here, but it wasn't in all caps. So remember, people, if you put your questions in all caps, it really helps me. Yes. Thank you, Deb. Just as I was saying that, I saw Deb's thing there. I see Tyler's in here. Hello, Tyler. Let's see. Spring is almost here. One of our pregnant goats is bagging up. I noticed in that video, Tyler, that I was like, looks like he's got at least two of them there. They're about ready to give birth. The sides. Oh, and by the way, Dreamy Music Gal, thank you for that. Thank you for saying that. And again, no problem. Let's see. I thought there was another question I saw. See, presenters don't seem to know how know the ad is happening and don't pause to wait for the viewers. Um, when okay, let me ask again, has anyone seen any ads in my more recent live shows? Somebody may have answered that and I didn't see it. Um, I think here's the thing is that YouTube, what I realized, but you have to be paying attention before I found that option of manually inserting ads, is that you'll get a little thing down at the bottom of the screen that says ad will start in so many seconds and there's a countdown. But then there's a little button that says skip ad. But you have to be paying attention. If you're busy reading the chat or looking at the camera, you're not or looking somewhere else because you're showing something, you're not going to see it. So some people may just not know. I mean, I found out, it's like, oh, there's a little thing here. I can actually skip this ad. So I'd do that whenever I'd see it. But I don't get that. So since I can insert ads manually, though I don't even know how I do that, but I don't want to. But yeah, I would definitely skip them if I was, whenever I could. Let's see. There was something else here. Never in the middle, only in the beginning. Okay, thanks, Debbie. That's what I was looking for. Might be mine if someone gave to you on Rumble. Yeah, that was it, Teresa. I knew there was another one. Thank you. Thank you for saying it again. How much? I don't know on that. I don't know how much we get because I'm not doing lives on there and I don't have don't have a membership over there either. I would assume they're probably taking the same amount as YouTube does, but I don't know. I don't know. It seems, I mean, I just hardly make any money over there as it is. So that's why anyone who can watch on YouTube or doesn't mind watching on YouTube, I appreciate that because I get, even with everything that's happened on this channel, what they've done to me here and just kind of really squelching everything, I still do better. I still make more money per view than I do over there, even with YouTube taking a 30% cut. So who knows how much they're taking. But like I said before, I think a lot of it is that not as many people watch over there. But even for the amount of views I get, I feel like I should be making more money. So I think the other thing may have to do with the actual ads that are on there. They probably don't get the bigger, higher paying advertisers on Rumble like they do here. Yeah, 30%. And that's why I tell people, I mean, if you want to do super chats, it's great. We always will appreciate them, but I'm not going to ask for them. And I want to make sure people understand. Like I recently had a couple of people actually donate via PayPal. The one person in particular made sure they chose friends and family. So all of the money they donated goes to us and PayPal doesn't take a cut. That's why if you're wanting to give to anyone, it doesn't matter who it is, a family member, a friend, if you have PayPal, you go through PayPal, make sure you select the friends and family option when you're getting ready to send the money. That way they'll get it all and PayPal won't take a percentage out. It's not a massive percentage, but the reason they charge a fee at all is on merchandise. So that's why they give you the option. And the reason they charge a fee for merchandise, that is to cover the cost of insurance. But that insurance gets paid for by the person selling the product. But it's to kind of cover their butt and everybody's butt, really, to make sure that so if the product never gets there to the person, then they can make a claim. And so that's what that money is for, that percentage that they take out only on the merchandise. Yeah, Teresa. It's but it's up to a person. I've been in chats where people just constantly super chat all the time. And it's like, I wonder if all these people donating are doing it just because they want to and because they want to make sure their question or their comment gets seen. I wonder if they realize, though, how much of that YouTube actually takes. But whatever. I mean, it's definitely got to be up to the person. I know there was a couple weeks back where somebody did a super chat. It was hilarious. And they said, because I was talking about the skillet and Mr. Rain, and somebody said, you know, this is for the Save Mr. Rain from the Skillet Fund. I thought it was hilarious. It was pretty cute. But anyway, Sally, great question. While we prefer thumbs up, and thumbs up are always going to be best anyway, because any video that gets too many thumbs down will make YouTube kind of go, huh? But generally speaking, YouTube doesn't care if you give a video a thumbs up or a thumbs down. What they care about is you're giving it an interaction. So I mean, if you really dislike someone, this is the funny thing, is all of us, especially if all of us creators have been on here for any length of time and have a pretty good audience, audience base, lots of them. You're always going to get people that will turn on you for no reason. They'll get people to decide they hate you. They'll just be people who hate you right off the bat, but they'll keep following you so they can just keep giving your videos dislikes, because that's how petty and silly people are. But what these silly, petty people don't realize is that when they do that, they're actually helping the channel, because it's still an interaction. Now, we don't get paid for likes. We don't get paid for subscriptions. We get paid only for views. However, what likes and shares and comments under the video, doesn't matter if it's a good or a bad comment, any comment, the more comments there are, the more that YouTube sees that, it shows up in the algorithms, and it's like, oh, this video is getting a lot of interactions. It's getting a lot of interactions. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. And then it gets boosted in the algorithm so more people can see the video, because they'll see that as a good thing, even if a lot of people hate it. I mean, there does come a point somewhere where if the dislike ratio outweighs the like ratio, it might change it, but I'm not absolutely certain on that. But I do know any interaction is a good interaction in reference to helping a channel's content be seen. So yes, they are important. This is why you'll hear channels constantly say, the creators say, please like and subscribe, because it helps. It helps a lot. And share and comment, even if it's just like if someone in the comment below the video or in the comment section just says comment, I'll have sometimes people say for the algo, or hello, or something. Like Deb does that a lot. She'll go and hit a bunch of videos and just wave and say, it all helps. So we appreciate that. And it doesn't cost any money to do that. And that's why I encourage that more than I would super chats, because it all helps and you don't have to pay anything for it. It's great. Other than the few seconds of time it takes you to do that. So like when I start following a new channel, especially if they're a smaller channel and I'm really liking their content, I make sure to always like their videos. I make sure to always comment, even if I don't have anything to say. Just hi, hi, or thank you, just to help. Like there's a young, well, he's not young. He's younger than me. But there's a guy by the name of Eric who has, what's his channel called? He has a real small subscriber base right now. Is he Eric? True Roots Ministries. And we started following him. I think he's a great guy. I've actually interacted with him through email. And a really great guy. And so I'll watch his content. And even if I don't really have anything to say, I'll just say, thanks, Eric, just to give him that comment to help boost him. So hopefully it will help his channel get out there and grow, because he has a lot of good stuff to share, so if you're a believer, and especially if you're one that believes that the Old Testament is significant to us today, you may like his You may like his channel. So, True Roots Ministry. I like him because it's, to me, I have a hard time finding people that have very, very similar views as I do, that are also very well grounded and common sense. Because, well, I'll just stop there. I don't want to say too much. There's a lot that I really do like, but I don't necessarily recommend a lot of them because I think they have some ideas that might be a little out there. Personal opinion. And I don't want to say anything about them because, bad about them, but that's just me, because I think they're good people. They have a heart for the Lord, but I think they just have some ideas that are a little extra biblical. So, personally, that's my point. Lisa Emerson, I'm not acting like a child. I'm not. Of course you are, Tyler. Where's Terry? Terry? Tyler needs your foot. Oh, just like Patrick needs a skillet every so often. Yeah, people are so many. It's amazing. You really, I tell you, social media really, thank you, Jesus. Thank you for that. Social media really brings out the worst in a lot of people. And I think, well, I've always known this. And I think you all know this. The main reason why is that people can hide behind their screens and sometimes even have fake pictures and anonymous names and say whatever they want. And maybe they don't even mean all the mean stuff they say. They just get a kick out of getting under other people's skin, but they can do it from the safety of their anonymity. And most, I would say, a very, very high percentage of those would never speak to you that way to your face. Even though I'm a little person, I'm only 5 foot tall. Even people who don't know that I have 2 black belts in 2 different martial arts, people don't get in my face because I'm scary enough that people just don't. In fact, it was funny because there was a guy that I was friends with on Facebook, him and his wife both, but I'd never actually met them in person. And so he just, we see each other's posts and comment and all that. And so when he met me in person, he was shocked. He goes, and he's not the first person that said this. I thought you'd be a lot taller than that. I guess it's because part of it is I just have maybe a big personality. I don't know. Terry is laughing way too much. Good for you, Terry. Keep it up. So thank you for the referral to True Roots. You're welcome. Yeah, True Roots, and who else? There's several others I follow. I mean, I can't say that there's any one person I agree with 100%, and that's fine. I think that if we ever agree with any one pastor or spiritual leader 100%, we better be checking ourselves and make sure that we're not just making them an idol and not putting God and his word first. Because that we got to test everything against scripture, no matter who you're listening to, no matter what your beliefs are, no matter what church you're a part of. Everything must be tested against scripture. And I've rambled too long, and I'm supposed to be getting into the topic. And I see Mr. Rain is here. He heard skillet and decided he better come in here. Or maybe he thinks he's trying to protect Tyler. Oh, does somebody think we're not joking around? Yes, Tyler's good people. Oh, yeah, it's BP Devo. He's one of the moderators. His name's Tyler. That's his real name. And his wife is Terry. So yeah. We've actually, I think I shared this on a recent live show, that we've actually met them in person and got to go out to lunch with them, and just really good people. But they're down in Texas. They're a long ways away from us. So I should get into the topic. Normally I try to start right on time. and I got to blabbing away. So today, I know, okay, here's my disclaimer. I know I'm probably forgetting a billion things, but I wanted to talk about upcycling, recycling, frugality, and just give you some examples based on the things I do. And what I would like you guys to do as as I'm talking, and you think of some of the things you do that might be different, please put those in all caps. And that would be something I can write down, excuse me, and or something I can read out loud if I see it, hopefully. The live podcast, I do too. There's a lot of great, that's how I learned about Eric. So there's a few people that I'll follow that I just believe are solid and level-headed, common sense, and he's one of them. But yeah, there's a lot of beautiful testimonies. And my testimony's in there too. So if anyone's interested, you'll find mine in there. And anyway, okay, so let's start off. I'll start off with talking about some specific things that I do. And I made sure that I put this quilt on my chair. So this quilt, you've heard me or seen me talk about this particular one before. This is the one I made for my freezer. It's my freezer quilt. So why did I make a freezer quilt? Well, I made a freezer quilt to, first of all, even whether our freezer's running off of solar power or public power, keeping a quilt over your freezer is going to help conserve energy. It's going to help hold the cold in. And it looks nice. Excuse me. This one is made out of recycled jeans and then just a bunch of flannel I had laying around. I wanted to make sure it looked really nice, so because of where the freezer sits. It's actually by our back door, but that's the door everybody comes in. Hardly anyone comes to the front. If somebody comes and knocks on the front door, that means they're a stranger. So yeah, so our big old chest freezer is right by that, and then the back is lined with, well, a flat sheet. It was a sheet set I bought specifically for making skirts, quilts, and more. And so I just took the whatever the material, if it was the flat or the fitted, and then made the backing and border out of that. So that was recycled. It was brand new, but I got a good deal on it. So that's the other thing, is I'll stock up on stuff like that, flannel sheets and whatnot, if I see a good deal on them, because flannel sheets are great, especially the bigger ones, like you get king size, because you can use them for quilt backs. It's cheaper to do it that way than buying by the yard, and you can be a little more guaranteed you're going to get a width that you don't have to have a seam down the middle of the back or something like that. So anyway, so the upcycled jeans, okay, and then I only brought in a few things, and then this is pretty tattered, but I made myself two purses, two different colors. This is one I'm not currently using. I switch them out every 6 months and then throw it in the wash. So it's just kind of a rag style purse made with recycled pieces of denim and just some, like this is all denim except for the green. There's even a brown denim. Some of the stuff I found at either garage sales or they were donated to me. And then I utilized the pockets. Let's take that off there. It doesn't need to be on there. I utilize the pockets because they look cute, but that gives me a place to put some lip balm. And then I always make sure I use one of the belt loops, and I'll hang my keys from here. So I brought this one in because I figured it'd be easier to show since it's not the one I'm currently using. And then on the inside, I do the same thing. I use a back pocket on each side of the inside so I can stick stuff in there. Right there. It's kind of hard to see. It's getting more, it's a rag style, so already looked tattered in the first place. And then usually I'll find one that has, gosh, I'm having a hard time showing this. a back pocket that might have a snap or something like this one does. It has a button for things I'm a little more concerned about falling out. So I have one of those on each side. I think this, did I ever wash this? It doesn't look like it got washed. I think I switched out purses, but it doesn't look like this one got washed or it needs a better washing. These things are old. I've been using them for years. They've lasted me forever. So there's one idea. I've recycled the pockets off of jeans to put on skirts just for a cute factor or to actually use as a pocket. In fact, that all denim skirt that Stacy has, it's a patchwork skirt. You might see her wear it every now and then. That I made that for her. She had asked me to make it for her. She paid me for it. And she didn't want, I can't remember, did I put pockets? I think I might have put the hidden pockets on the side, but she also wanted those pockets on the outside so she could put little things in those too. So I did that. Lee Horn just did an interview with them. Yeah, I haven't had time to watch some of the more recent ones, but thank you for saying that, Derek. Maybe tonight we'll check that out. There's been some on there I've watched a couple of times. One of the ones I always recommend is besides Eric's, it's a lady, a Southern lady, blonde hair, Christy Jordan. Highly, highly recommend hers. And then Amy, oh my goodness, I'm having here come the brain cramps again. Anyway, we're talking about recycling, so I better get back on the topic. So did I write down anything else? Patches, quilts, purses, bags. One thing I did that I have, and by the way, I have a video series on frugality and upcycling that I have linked to in the description box down below if you'd like to go check out my videos in there, and where I broke down different things like upcycling denim, upcycling old t-shirts, upcycling cotton sheets, upcycling plastic grocery bags, bottles and jars, so on and so forth. But the one on the jeans I forgot to mention was when our kids were young, they were still kids, and we got the GMC that we have now. So we got that in what year did we get that? 2002. It was a 2002. We got it in 2002. And so we ended up buying just a cheap little DVD player. And the DVD part was I think it was separate from the screen itself. And since the way it was set up, what I did was I took some old jeans and cut them in such a way and made basically a holder for the video screen. Obviously cut a hole in the front where the screen itself was. Thank you. Let's see. Does it say anything? It just says, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. So that was Angels Are Real. Joni, Angels Are Real. Thank you. Appreciate that. Anyway, so then I just had that so I could just sit that in there and then made straps where it could hook over the front seat. So when the kids were sitting in the back, that screen would be kind of suspended between the two, captain's type seats in the front of the truck. And so they would both have equal view of the video screen, because otherwise you had to hang it over the back of one of the seats and then somebody would have to be leaning over. So I made sure it was in the center. So that was kind of a fun way. And it was a sturdy fabric because it was made out of denim. So anyway, I hope I'm not missing any good. Let me see. Let me check here. Making sure I'm not missing any good comments about, what did somebody say here? I heard, do you leave it on in winter as well? Okay, I'm sorry. What was this? I started using one on mine. So, the freezer. Yeah, I just leave it on all the time. Because here was the other thing, Sally. So going back to the quilt thing is that if the power goes out, well, the quilt's already there. So if you lose power, it doesn't matter if it's summer or winter, you lose power and that quilt's going to help conserve, the cold that's in there, will help insulate it. That's the word I'm looking for. And sometimes I'll even throw if it's summertime, I might throw a second quilt over there. but that doesn't that hard. But summertime, it's not a big deal because we're getting solar power anyway. And also, our power outages mostly happen this time of year. So anyway, let's see. Thank you, Deb, for the links and whatnot. Question, is your freezer quilt for just when there is power outage? Oh, okay. So Linda was probably asking as I was answering it. So no, I just so it's also for looks, but it's for all the time. All year round it stays there other than when I need to take it off and wash it. So, yeah, that's what that's for. So let's move on to the next one. The next thing. The first several I'm talking about fabrics, but that's not the only thing I'm going to talk about. So the next category I have flannel and cotton. So it can be cotton flannel or just plain cotton, like a regular cotton sheets kind of fabric. Now, talking about a quilt like this, I've actually years ago, one of my first denim quilts I made, it was denim and flannel, but I made it using Patrick's old jeans and his old flannel shirts where, they were starting to fall apart, getting holes in them or whatever, and then cut those up. And I made quilts out of that too. So, but the great thing about flannels, there's so many uses for flannel because you can use them as a replacement, just make them rags out of them and use them as paper towel replacement. I'm one that tends to use old t-shirts, like this old t-shirt here, for cleaning up messes and stuff. So when Patrick's shirts get old and stained and have holes in them, which tends to happen a lot, I just cut them up and I use them as rags for whatever. They make good hankies. They're not pretty, but they make good hankies, which is why I always keep one handy just in case. Make good burp rags for babies. But the same thing can be said with flannel. So whether it be recycled flannel sheets, recycled, old flannel shirts, any flannel, and flannel pajamas. And I've made see, did I write anything else down? I have a video on this too, where I've taken some flannel and made insoles for some shoes that were just they didn't have enough cushion in them. And the shoes were just a little big because I bought them years ago. They were the Converse ones, the low top ones, and they were so cute. And they had them at the local store, and I've had them for a long, long time. But they had little patches on them. They were just so me. And when they went on sale, I'm like, I got to get these, but they only had them in adult sizes where I typically wear kids' shoes. So sometimes the smallest adult size shoes are a little big, but I had to have those shoes because they were so me. So what I did then was I made myself my own insoles to add a little thickness to the shoe as well as a little bit of padding. Because if you've never worn the Converse shoes, they have no padding. They're like just because they're supposed to be basketball shoes. So I actually made some out of, a few layers of flannel. So it would be a little, if I had to do it again though, I'd probably use like maybe a bamboo fleece as well to give it a little more padding, a little more squishiness. But I've used flannel to make, I know there's guys in here, so sorry, but to make feminine napkins. I've used flannel to make toilet paper replacement, and that's all I use. And I love it. It's like I've said before, it's more luxurious than toilet paper, and washing them in their own load by themselves, hot water wash, is a breeze. They clean up very, very easily. So, yeah, recycled flannel sheets I've used for that. And then also, if you're looking at 100% cotton sheets or any natural fabric, linen, anything like that, makes great dehydrator rack covers for catching all, especially when you're doing herbs. And they're just like thyme is one of the worst ones. As they dry, you might think, oh, it's all holding together. Calendula flowers are another one that, you put them on there whole, but when you dehydrate them, they get, as they dry, they just start kind of, the petals start falling off and fall through your rack. So having the fabric on there, it actually helps speed up the dehydrating time, I've noticed. but you want a good natural breathable fabric. So I even switched to linen. So you don't want any polyester because you don't want any of that plastic getting in your food, but also it's going to prevent good airflow if it has any kind of unnatural fabric. That's why you want to go with the natural. So either cotton or linen or, anything like that. What else here? Let's see. I have also taken, sorry, I'm looking to see. I've done more than what I've written down here. I just wrote down a few examples. So wool socks. So if you have wool socks where you finally wore out the bottom of them, you don't feel like darning them, you've decided, like my Darn Tough socks, took forever to finally get any holes whatsoever. But by then, the whole bottom of the sock all the way around was just getting really thin. Well, then you can take, but usually the top of your sock it's not going to get the same kind of wear. So you can cut the top of your wool socks off and use those to make quilts or anything else you want. So I actually have a quilt. I was going to bring that in here too, that I made years ago out of tops from old socks that had holes worn in them. And I could have darned them. I think they were probably in good enough shape. I could have darned them, but I decided not to. I just saved them up and then made a quilt. I love that. It's like a lap quilt, and I love that in the wintertime. I use that quite a bit this time of year, especially when it's cold. It's like kind of chilly in here. I kind of wish I had it in here right now. Let's see. So there's that. Oh, and there's also jar covers for any of these natural fabrics, jar covers. So you can just cut a square. If it's something that tends to fray really bad, usually I just rip it and just, linen is easier to cut than rip, but it can be ripped. But they're great for jar covers for making vinegars, or if it's a cute fabric and you want to hem it out and make those cute little rounded jar covers with the elastic, you can do that too. When I first started doing the vinegars, I would just rip squares. I didn't care how they looked. But now, since I'm always taking pictures of and it's always on my counter, I decided I want them to look cute. If your fabric isn't labeled, and you're not really familiar with the difference between a poly cotton and how it feels and 100% cotton, it can be difficult to know. The more I've worked with some of these different fabrics, the more I'm like, I'm suspicious now. Some of these fabrics I thought were 100% cotton or not. One way, like people have brought up, is if you light it, take a lighter and kind of try to singe the edge of it. If it just burns and wants to keep burning, it's cotton. If it melts, it's going to be some kind of plastic fabric, because plastic's going to melt, nylon or whatever. I can't honestly say what it does if it's a blend. And I'm sure it's going to depend on how the ratio of the blend itself. I don't know. I haven't tried. I haven't tried burning something that was a blend, so I don't know. Maybe somebody else can say for sure. But the more you handle them, the more and look at them. You can look at them, you can handle them, and you just get familiar with what 100% cotton should feel like. And one thing about 100% cotton, especially if you're getting any kind of printed fabrics, colored fabrics, it can fade a lot worse than, a blend. And that's another good sign that it might be 100% cotton or a blend, or yeah, if it doesn't fade. But when you're talking about using it for your dehydrator racks, I try to go with the least amount of color, no prints, preferably just a natural color. Like I got the linen, I just went strictly natural color on that. Your natural linen. I don't think it's colored. It's not supposed to be. So that, just to make sure I'm not getting any possible coloring toxins in there. Yes. Let me look. I want to make sure I say this right, because yeah, L Evans. Yes. I have bought one time I bought 100%, it was labeled 100% cotton sheets, because I'm like, that print is going to be perfect for these skirts. And I got it in and I started, and I'm feeling it. I'm like, this does not feel like cotton. It's similar. Well, the dead giveaway for me was when I cut it and went to rip it. That's when I know for certain. Because if it's got any nylon in it at all, any kind of polyester, it does a weird stringy thing. I mean, your cotton's gonna string too, but this is different. This like strings. It might not fray the same way cotton does, but it just gets these really long stringy pieces. And I'm like, I don't even think I don't even think it was any blend of cotton. I think it was 100% polyester. I'm pretty positive. It was still a beautiful fabric that I did still use in the skirts. I don't worry as much about the skirts because of the part of the body they're being worn on, especially if you're wearing stuff under it. But I have since gotten rid of all that kind of stuff. When I had to clean out when I decided it's time, I cracked down and clean out my sewing room and get rid of all the unnatural fabrics and just start cleaning house. And I had several bags of fabrics that went out and just stuff I'd never use anyway because I brought home a lot of stuff from my mom's. And I'm like, oh, it was too much stuff. So, okay, I did mention t-shirts, hankies, rags, slings, for a broken or sprained arm or something like that. Poultices, what am I thinking of? When someone's got a bad cut, tourniquet. That's the word I'm looking for. As long as they're clean, of course, for a lot of this stuff. Bandages, especially if it's linen. Linen is great for bandages. And we're talking like open wound kind of things because they're naturally antibacterial and healing. So I think that's all the fabrics mostly, and that's just a few ideas. There's so much more. Now, then you have things like kitchen scrubs. So we know you can take like your peels from your onions and your tops from your celery and your carrots and whatever, and you can, make them into a veggie broth or even throw them in with the bones if you're making a bone broth and get a veggie bone broth. But there's other things too that, I mean, besides composting, obviously composting, but I'm thinking specifically of things like me and the eggshells that I try to be in the habit of every day. I don't always remember, but every day taking a teaspoon or more of ground eggshells that I got from my own chickens. And it makes a great mineral supplement. I looked it up again to make sure I had the minerals right because I knew they had calcium and magnesium, which you should never take calcium without magnesium. Well, they're already combined. Well, guess what other minerals should be combined or can be combined with calcium? Uh, because it's going to balance things out better in the body so you don't end up with hypercalcification. Well, phosphorus and potassium are a couple others. Well, it has all four of those: calcium, phosphorus, potassium, and magnesium. So you're getting all of that. It's great. So, yeah, I still call Gudrun Kleenex every now and then. I think it's because I'm a little not quite so sure on pronouncing, but that all came from Patrick, of course. Patrick started calling her Kleenex, and that, hey, Kathleen Zimmerman's in here. I haven't seen you in forever. But yeah. So we started calling Gudrun Kleenex. I know I'm gonna say it wrong. Let me see. I've tried to sound it out before. Kleiner Kleiner I'm I can't I think I say it right. It's like, you know how long it took me, and I'm probably still not saying it right anymore. The Hammerschmitzke sound, that dance, because it's a one word, the dance of the blacksmith that we did years ago. And I know, Gudrun, that I don't know if you watched that whole show. I know you'd missed it live, but I think you came back into it. And I'm like, I wonder what she's going to say when she hears me say that word. But yeah, we did that year we did the folk dances from around the world. and we did the blacksmith dance. It was really fun. But I practiced that word over and over and over and over again. And I'm not even sure if I'm saying it right now because it's been so many years. But the Hammerschmitzgesang. I don't know it's right. I'm probably butchering it. Anyway, moving on. So and the other things with eggshells is that you can use them in your garden. You're adding minerals to your garden, especially really good for your tomatoes. Like you can I say it like an American, just a tad better. Well, thank you. So anyway, when you go to plant your tomatoes in the ground, you dig your hole, you sprinkle a few eggshells down in there, and then put your tomatoes in there. Some people will even use like, the half of an eggshell and not powdered up, and then plant stuff in that. Use those as starters, little starter pots. And you just plant the whole thing in there. The eggshell eventually is going to break down. I would not be certain of it breaking down enough to let the roots spread out. So I personally wouldn't do it that way, but maybe they crush it up before they put it in the ground. I have no idea because I've never done that. But and then some people will use the eggshells on top of around their plants, but on top of their soil, eggshells that are crushed, not powdered. And then that, for some people, will work as a good slug deterrent because the slugs don't want to go over the sharp edges of the eggshells. My throat's getting itchy. I was worried earlier because I'm like, it's ever since yesterday morning, I think it was, or maybe it was Friday. It's been my vocal cords have been especially in rough shape lately. So I'm already very itchy and hoarse. What else? Of course, you can use, more kitchen scraps, obviously bones for making, the bones from whatever it is for making a bone broth. Let's see. I know there's more I'm forgetting. Oh, coffee grounds. Coffee grounds are also great for compost. Since I grow a lot of berries in pots on my front and back decks, what I do is I keep this little pot specifically for collecting my coffee grounds in on the kitchen. So it looks nice. It's got a lid. And then when it gets full, I just walk out on one of the decks and I'll take those out and put them in the different strawberry pots. It's mostly strawberries, but I got a couple of blueberries left on the deck because that's going to add nitrogen to the soil, and your berries, they love anything that loves acidic soil. You can put it around your rhubarb. You can throw it where you plant your potatoes. They're going to like those coffee grounds. So I'm in the middle of cooking rump roast carrots, potatoes. This time I'm cooking the potato peels in filtered water and a little salt and 1 tablespoon of bacon fat. I think my dogs will like it. We'll see. Oh, good. My dogs, they just like, well, I say my dogs, even though only one is really mine. The other one's here so often that Luna feels like she's my dog. They like potato peels. They'll eat them. They won't eat a ton of them, but if I'm in there peeling potatoes, they'll sit there and look at me and say, okay, here's some potato peels. But ever since they were tiny little dog, I think it started because they were little puppies when I was digging up potatoes. This was like maybe 2016, 2015, 2016, probably 2016. And so I had this thing of potatoes sitting on the deck. I just brought them up on the deck, and in there were some of the little tiny potatoes. And I went off to go do something else, maybe dig up more potatoes and put them in a different container. And when I came back, the dogs they're both sitting in the sun, each on their own little pillow, and they each had a little potato between their paws and they were eating it. So they had each went and got a potato out of there. And raw potatoes, they loved them. So they still do. But anyway, and my chickens will eat a lot of the, not all of them. They'll eat some of those potato peels. My chickens like raw potatoes too. I've had my chickens find potatoes that were still in the garden when I let them roam around in the between planting seasons. And are you coming in here to stay? You need to sit on this side because you always mess everything up when you sit over here.
Somebody had a special request.
Or you can use that chair. A special, to see Cody Biscotti?
Yeah,
Cody Biscotti.
the RCH mascot.
I never have a scarf on him anymore because every time Patrick takes them out to the property, he's digging under them trees and the roots and the shrubs and the blackberry bushes, and then he gets the scarf caught, and then it stays behind. So I kind of gave up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't like putting collars on him for that same reason. He's always getting hung up and stuff. So you don't like being the center of attention, Cody Biscotti? Well, he does, but maybe not the center of attention on the live show.
He's nervous because I actually called him out of his bed.
Oh, poor doggy. Did Patrick wake you up? Are you
Cody,
all
come.
toasty, warm, and asleep?
Come. Come here.
He's all excited. Oh, what?
Yep. Hey,
The doggy.
there he is.
I think he just doesn't understand. What the heck are we doing in here?
What? Anyway.
Oh, the doggy. The Cody Biscotti. I
So
called him.
You're talking about recycling stuff.
So anyway, I'll finish this. I called him Biscotti because I wanted to give him a more Italian name. And because he's black and white, he made me think of an Oreo cookie, and a biscotti is a type of cookie. So, and then call him Cody for short. So, yeah, that's it. That's his name.
Dog.
Let me finish. Where was I? I was talking about chicken scraps. Well, there's that too. Kitchen scraps. And then the next one was bottles and jars, obviously. So I only brought in one, but we've got, saving good bottles and jars from whatever product that you might buy that has like good tight fitting lids. And one of the ones I save, are you leaving? Or are you coming back?
Oh, I was going to come back.
Okay, good. Are the, I got the Chosen Foods avocado oil or almond oil. I get both, mostly the avocado oil. Because their bottles are dark and because they're square, I love storing my homemade wines in them. This is actually I should have put the year on there. This is from a few years ago. This is one of my better ones, the blackberry wine. You got to clean them out real good, obviously. But one of the reasons I like those is not only are they dark, they got a good tight fitting lid with a little silicone on the inside. So it's going to keep it airtight. That's important when you're storing your wines. I'd rather do that than use corks, but it keeps them quite well. I've had some that were, there's a recycled green olive jar. Thank you, Patrick.
Costco special.
I had that sitting out because I'm going to make grits when I'm done.
These little corner turn or quarter turn, 1/8 inch turn.
Lug lid.
These lids here, they have a little rubber deal on the top of them. You put that on there and you can vacuum seal it.
Yep. So yeah, thank you. I was actually going to mention that. So using the chamber that Patrick makes, that's how I seal those. This one's not sealed because this is what I'm working through. It's just in the kitchen. This is the Azure Standard Grits Organic. Love them so much. But so I recycle, we don't eat a lot of green olives, but we do like green olives. So every now and then we might work through a jar of green olives, and then I'll wash it up really good and save it. And if you're worried about the smell, you take the lid after you wash it really good. I mean, everybody's got their own little tricks, but one of the things I found works best, I just set this on the kitchen windowsill, even in the windowsill that doesn't get direct sun because it faces the north. And just sitting there, getting even just the residual light and the open air, leave it there for several days, and that will help. If you can set it in the direct sun, that would be better yet, because the sun will kill the odor. I love the way sun will take out stains and odors.
Did you mention 5-gallon buckets?
Well, I'm still talking about jars.
Oh,
I'll let you talk about 5-gallon buckets when I'm done with bottles and jars, because then I
Okay.
can have a chance to get some water.
Okay.
I'll just finish this. So, but yeah, so if you're interested in the vacuum chamber that Patrick makes, I have videos on it on my channel. And I also, you can email me at raincountryhomestead@gmail.com and I can shoot you out a product list with I use the brake bleeder with it. And so I can vacuum seal any jar that's not a regular mason. Well, you can vacuum seal any jar that will fit in there, even if it's a mason jar. But usually I just use the food saver tops for the mason jars, but the chamber, the vacuum chamber for sealing the jars like this that don't have the standard, like either the regular
any
one.
size, any size jar up to a quart.
Yeah. That will fit in there. So, yeah, you can just email me at raincountryhomestead@gmail.com if I didn't say all that. And I will shoot you out the product list. Also has seeds, skin cream, and more in there. And then what are a few other things? Oh, I also like using the same jars for now. Those are my favorite ones for making tinctures in. And also, what was I going to say? Oh, and then also like I bought at a garage sale years ago, I found some old swing top beer bottles. They're great for storing tinctures in as well. I'll put the tinctures in those, the ones that we're working through, like the pain. I have only 3 or 4 of those. And because they're dark and because they're swing top, and then they have the smaller spout, they're really easy and nice to use for things like that. And then you can just pour a little bit out and as much as you need. And they call this polenta / grits. It's then I thought all grits were made from hominy. Well, hominy is corn. Corn that's been soaked in lye, by the way, if you didn't know that. It's still corn. But yeah, I hadn't heard that. It could be true, but on the package they call this grits and polenta. Both names are on the package. So let's see there. It seemed like there was something. Seemed like there was something else. How tight do you put the lid on? I suggest you go watch my video, but on that one, you just put it just enough that it's, you don't crank it on there. Because if you crank it on there, you won't be able to pull the air out of the jar.
Basically, you just want the adhesion part or the rubberized portion just to touch the clean. That's clean, and this is clean. Just to touch the top of the glass, just so it can suck
and
the
then
air out.
the lug lid's pretty simple because you just turn it until you feel it. You don't crank it, just turn it until it stops like that.
One word, some people might just take and not put any pressure on it, but just set it on your counter and just turn it to where it starts to spin on top of the counter without putting any force on it.
That's how I demonstrate it in those videos. That same with canning jars and canning lids. You just don't hold it with your other hand at all. You set it on the counter and you just turn that band until the jar starts to move, and then that's as tight as you want it. Don't crank it on there; it won't work. Because I've had people say it's not working, and it's like, well, because you're cranking the lid on way too tight.
Yeah.
You got to be able to pull the air out if you have it. But then once it's sealed, it's sealed. These ones, I got to stop doing it. I know it's improper grammar, but whatever. Everybody does it. Anyway, this particular type of lid and jar, when I vacuum seal those, I know it's sealed because those are hard. You can't just easily turn it. I actually have to take a spoon, just like if I had just bought the jar of olives, and just take the edge of the corner of the spoon, tip of the spoon, and just pry it just enough until you hear that pop, and then it's like, okay.
But try not to bend the lid, because
try not to bend the lid.
Bend it, then it's useless.
Before I knew polenta was grits, I paid like 5 times the amount for this 1 pound tube of it. Then really? I didn't know that. I actually didn't even know they were the same thing either for the longest time. But yeah, they're the same thing. But that's crazy. They're going to charge that much more just for a different name. That's silly. How they get you. Okay, let's see. Did I cover all the? There's a lot more I could go on about. Oh, oil infusions. I use recycled jars, or even canning jars sometimes too for oil infusions. Just whatever. I mean, there's so many things you can use. You can just store food in your fridge in them. It doesn't have to be something liquid, or you don't have to vacuum seal. Just use them for whatever. But especially, like, I'm going to come back to the dark bottles, especially something like this. Vinegar is another good thing you can use for storing those in, because they're going to be airtight. Because you don't, once your vinegar is done and you go bottle or jar it up, you don't want it getting any air in there. Or it's just like with the wine, you don't want it getting air in there, because it's going to turn the wine to vinegar. But if it's vinegar and the air is still getting in there, it's going to just turn it to nasty water, is what it does. So now that I'm done talking about bottles and jars, he's going to get something else, I guess. We're going to end up with so much stuff in here, and then I'm going to have so much stuff to put away. So I better move mini me somewhere else and make a little bit more room. So he's going to talk about buckets. Buckets, oh fun, talking about buckets.
Only for a minute. So she buys coconut oil and different things in these little handy buckets, and we keep all these buckets for putting paint in when you're painting, store, breaking down. Looks like if you buy grain in bulk or whatever like that, you can put them in these buckets, to reuse them.
I like to keep, like, since I have big, like, huge buckets, like 7-gallon, 10-gallon buckets for my flowers and my oats and whatnot. I'll recycle these to keep the stuff in the kitchen in my lower cabinet. So, it's a lot in there, but it's not a big massive bucket, and so I just, when those get empty, I'll just refill them. Also use them for chicken water.
Oh yeah, and chicken feed. Yep. On the farm, these things are super handy.
Yeah.
Put fasteners in them. If you buy fasteners in bulk, you can, have a smaller bucket for putting fasteners and screws and nails and all kinds of different things on there. And on the subject of that, if you're interested in any guy stuff, there's, every time I take something to the dump or whatever like that, I take usable nuts and bolts off of the different things that I might throw away. If I see that they're useful, if I can reuse them, I don't try to save everything, but if the bolts and nuts and different things like that look like they're handy, that they can be used on another project, I'm always resourcing my nuts and bolts bin that has recycled bolts and nuts in it, washers and such.
It's like taking buttons off of old shirts.
That's exactly right. My mom, she had like 2 cookie tins that were about 2 or 3 inches tall by 10, 11, 12 inches in diameter, little cookie tins. She had those things plumb full of buttons, and she had another one for zippers that she'd take the zippers out of things and recycle zippers. So that's one thing.
Well, and I mentioned the sheets. That's one of the things, like if you're recycling sheets, or even if you're buying brand new sheets, because it's cheaper than buying fabric by the yard, depending on what you're getting. Don't forget to take that the elastic out of the fitted sheet. I've got a lot of good chunks of elastic out of some fitted sheets, even ones I found at a garage sale. I'm like, man, this is really nice elastic in here. And that was the elastic I was using to make the jar covers. Those little cute little jar covers, which I have a video on. They're really, really simple. And it's just a way to make things look cute. Or if you're going to gift a jar of something to someone, you can put that on there. Like maybe you're making some elderberry syrup and you're wanting to give it away as gifts. You can, make little jar covers and put them over there. So using your scrap elastic and your scrap fabrics. And So yeah, those buckets like that come in handy. When he's talking about feed, see, I keep the feed in here because I don't trust leaving it outside anywhere. So I have like a where I kind of when we have company over, it kind of gets hidden. You'll see this if you look at my small space food storage video. But anyway, I use those buckets to fill. I'll put the feed in there and then take that out there and fill up their feeder with those. So I have buckets that are just set aside just for doing that. And I didn't know if you're coming back with something else. You are,
There's
aren't
something
you?
else, yeah.
More stuff.
So
More
I think
things and more stuff.
we've mentioned bed rails before, but incidentally, just the other day, my wood chipper, when I was up on the property chipping, which is another recyclable thing, instead of just burning the brush and the branches, I'm chipping it all, and we'll turn that into mulch. But
Yay.
incidentally, the other day, this is a weak point on the chipper. These are little L brackets to hold down the feed drum. It's a self-feeding chipper, so that these are ones I replaced, but these go on each side of that feed drum, and they're on two big springs that hold pressure down on the feed roller that sucks in the branches and the wood. It's an 8-inch chipper. Well, you can see I made these a little bit larger. Didn't get that hole quite centered. Shame on me, Pat. But anyway, the bracket on the old one broke, and this one here is bent. So I made these a little bit wider out of bed rails. And I happen to have, because this thing also, this, oh gosh, what do you call this? A eye bolt. And this on the, when this broke on the other side, I took the old eye bolt and just bent it over, because I'm an hour away from town, every hour away from anything. And so I just bent this over. The old one, I bent it over and reattached it, and it lasted me several more days. And just yesterday, it broke on me. So I just came home and made some new brackets for that. This particular eye bolt I bought at a garage sale. I think I had a whole fistful of things like this that I purchased years ago from a garage sale for like 50 cents, $1, something like that. You go buy this piece off the shelf. It's definitely more than that. If you buy it from Woodmax, it would be more yet, plus shipping. So basically for nothing, because I already had this stuff. I've had this for years. It didn't cost me any more to purchase this or to make this. It took me half an hour to cut this out, round everything off, and drill the holes in it, and I'm back in business. But yeah, bed rails, anything that is useful like that, bed rails, good lumber that you take something apart. I store that around. If I don't use it, it ends up rotting, and I end up putting it in the fireplace. So, so always recycling lumber or angle iron, pieces of sheet metal or something like that that might be useful that I can store flat in a spot. Aluminum pieces, I'm always collecting that kind of thing, and round stock, pipe, and round stock, threaded stock. I have a good collection of that stuff. I'm always using that stuff for different projects. So that's kind of what I do in the shop as far as recycling, or upcycling, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah. I was reading a few comments, and Libby was talking about her silver water, which we know what that is.
Uh-huh.
Should I even say it that way? Can I get in trouble for that? Anyway, I actually store mine. I store mine I make it in the jars, but then I store mine in my son, when he gets his he likes to buy that sparkling cider, and it's in the green, dark green bottles. And I use those for storing that stuff. And or selling it, because there's a couple ladies that like to buy that from me every so often.
Mm-hmm.
So then there was a couple, like somebody, I was laughing at Maddie because she says I could make a whole pair of pants out of all her zippers. I'm assuming she means all the zippers that she saved. Another person mentioned the cutting open cutting open tube socks and using them as rags. I mean, you can use any good fabric like that can be used for rags. So great idea. And then Art for God was saying that they were still having a hard time getting a seal. Sometimes it's better just to email me directly and I can take you through all those little steps. Usually there's some kind of error. Now, one thing I will say about if you're talking about these lug lids, like you see this one here has a dent. I think this is the one that won't seal. I've had some of these that won't, one that won't seal because it got dented and it's right on that edge there, and so it doesn't seal. So it could be something wrong with the lid. You could have something embedded on the inside of the lid. You got to make sure that's really clean. It could be the jar itself. It might have a little crack, a little chip. Maybe you're putting it on too lightly, the lid. I mean, it's just finding that right balance.
Mm-hmm.
The more you work with those, the more you'll figure it out, and then you'll get the feel for that. Canning jars are easier because you just, you turn it is almost always right if you turn it loosely. But even then, if it's not sealing, then there's something's going wrong. Maybe you're not, if you're using the chamber, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. If you're not tightening that top lid down enough, there could be air escaping and it's not going to seal. So air escaping, that doesn't sound right. Air going in. You want the air coming out. Oh.
Another good thing for old socks is we talked about
Padding jars.
Padding jars, and also helping to eliminate light getting into jars, because light will have a tendency to break things down.
Right. Yeah.
Like for earthquake proof stuff, they kind of help keep things from rattling around. Old socks, you could probably cover 4 jars with 2 pairs of socks, probably. 2 pairs.
Okay, let me finish getting through the subjects here before. I mean, we might come back to some of the questions about the chipper, but that Patrick might be able to get to. But let's finish the topics here. So we've used that jar quite a bit. It's a good thing you brought it in here.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about plastic grocery bags. I know some of you live in places where you're not they're illegal now. But I love being able to have plastic. Of course, now here they've started charging 5 cents a bag, but it's still worth it to us because they make great garbage bags.
Or you can bring your own bag back to the
bags.
store, but you got to pack your own groceries in it for health reasons.
It's worth it to pay 5 cents for a bag because it's cheaper than buying garbage bags. But anyway, other things you can do is, like, I have a video on making totes, crocheting, if you crochet at all. And I have a video showing how you make what they call plarn, which stands for plastic yarn. And you can make a tote that can be recycled for using for groceries, or using as a bath or beach bag. When we used to go camping a lot more, this was nice for that very thing. And like when, if it's someplace like when we'd go to Creation Fest or something and they had the showers, and I could put all my shower stuff in there. I don't have to worry about it getting wet. I don't have to, if you're taking it to the beach, I don't have to worry about it getting sand in it because it's going to get filtered out anyway. And so you can crochet your own bags and whatnot out of that. Obviously, they make great packing material. And again, as I said, most often get used for garbage, just for garbage. So I don't have to buy trash bags. So
I remember when the argument came out when they started coming out with plastic bags, that it was the reason
it was more environmentally
it was
friendly.
for the improvement of the environment.
Yep.
To save the trees.
Yep. Yep. Now
Now
remember,
oceans are full of it.
all right. So remember, we live in
Now they're
a
going back the other way.
logging town. It's not so much a logging town as it was, obviously, but yes, I remember it was in the 80s. They were pushing these plastic bags because they were better for the environment because you weren't killing so many trees. Anyway.
It's like playing tennis, you know. Hit the
Oh
ball
my
back and forth.
goodness sakes. It's so incredibly stupid. But anyway, okay, so the plastic, that's funny because I was thinking of that a little bit ago. Almost was gonna say it, and I'm like, but I'll let you said it. Well, now this one would be a good one for Patrick to talk about because I did write it down a couple of these things that you use. One is like old fence boards, your trailer decking, or pallets for making things. So like I've said before, this, you'll see me standing over in that corner a lot, by the dehydrators when I'm shooting videos in here, the pre-recorded ones. Well, that countertop there, Patrick made that entire countertop. It's all one big solid piece out of the decking when he needed to redeck his equipment trailer. That's where that came from. And it's a beautiful countertop. He made the bathroom cabinet, right? Isn't that?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think there's something else. There's a couple other things just you use just that decking for. Was it that little my barter box out there?
No, but that was from Mill Ends.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know I've got a couple of shelves around here you've made out of scrap lumber,
Yeah, some
old fence pieces,
yeah,
and
old weathered fenced boards that you'd typically throw in the garbage, or burn. Made rustic knick-knack shelves and different things like that out of it. Like I say, the old equipment trailer, it was bad enough to where it needed to be replaced, but it still had some good pieces in it. So I took all those out, cut them down, went through a couple of saw blades with it and a couple of set of planer knives with it, but because it was packed full of sand and everything else with the weathering and the checking and stuff like that, it adds character, the old rustic character to the piece that I'm working with, but it also is full of nails and small rocks. So you just have to, if you're using something like an old deck from an equipment trailer, and the equipment trailer is actually oak. I think the trailer was made back east, Econoline trailer. And, but anyways, I still have some of that left that I can do a few things with, but, yeah, I mean, it's still good boards. It's just, they're just, you might have to go through a few planer knives, sets of planer knives or whatever. But, if I had to go buy that stuff, I would still never accomplish the look that I was looking for when I was building these. So, yeah, because there's old staining and different things and in it.
Yeah, we got a video on that. We got a video on the bathroom cabinet. I love that bathroom cabinet. It's just beautiful. It's very rustic and I love it. So then another thing, let's see here. I wrote down were bed rails.
Oh yeah.
And I know which was, he mentioned these. We talked about bed rails recently, I think in another live show, but so he said this was made out of bed rails. There's so many things you can do with old bed rails. So he made my dehydrator racks. And he's made one of the things I didn't mention when we were talking about this last time was he made the for your truck bed, the red truck, the red Toyota.
Oh yeah. I made a little old lumber rack for my older Toyota. I used it for years and worked good. So
but you also put it around the edge of the bedding.
Right, I put it around the rail of the outside rail of the bed to protect that, and it was actually part of the bed rail itself, which gave it rigidity. But there's all kinds of, you can build shelving, rack shelving and stuff like that with bed rails. Just whatever you need angle iron for. You can get bed rails. I was on Facebook Marketplace the other day, and somebody said, giving away free bed rails. I can deliver. And I said, okay, yeah. give them my address, and
Are
I
they
go out there
local?
the next day. Yeah, they're local. Yeah. I don't think it would come from Seattle, and
Well, that's why I was like, sometimes the stuff you find is like down in
people
Oregon or something.
sometimes people are just wanting to get rid of
Right.
stuff, get it out of the yard, and they just don't want to sit there. And I said, I can come get it. No, I can deliver it to you. No big deal. And come out there, and there's 2 sets, and usually with bed rails, there are 2 different sizes. This is the larger size. You usually get it on a set of bed rails. I think that's like 1 1/4 by 1 1/4. Sometimes they're 2 by 2. Sometimes they're that size, which is like 1 by 1. Like with the for the cross pieces that adjust in and out for the rail itself. For the put the 2 rails together. But yeah, I'm always coming across. If I go to the dump and I see some piping, or solid pipe or hollow pipe, I'll pick that stuff up until I get inundated and can't move around the shop. And then I
And then he has to take it back to the dump
or build something.
or
Yeah.
build something. That's always a good idea.
Uh,
So another thing I've mentioned, I don't remember what video, but was taking old jewelry and making decorative pieces. So, those of you who celebrate Christmas, or, you might even be something where you can make your own ornaments for your tree. But I like to I have certain places where the sun comes in the window, and I love the way the light hits certain things and just as something pretty. So, especially this piece, I brought it in because this is a really important piece to me. This was my mother's, and it was a pin, and I wore it after she passed away. That was one of the things I picked out because it was like one of her favorite colors was blue, especially like a royal blue. But she liked the blend of these colors. And I really like hummingbirds. And I was wearing it, but then the pin clasp of it broke. So it kept coming off of my jacket, and I didn't want to lose it. And I thought, well, how about put it where I can see it every day, all the time? And so I just took some wire and I have a collection of beads just for making earrings or whatever, just for fun. I was selling them for a while, but anyway, so I made this little dangly thing. It's not really a sun catcher, the beads are. And so I can see it every day. And it's just a nice decorative piece. And I've made other pieces using old earrings because I don't wear all that stuff anymore. Old costume jewelry, and just making some pretty little dangles to hang here and there for decorative pieces. But yeah, you can just take old costume jewelry and make all kinds of stuff, or just make all new jewelry out of it. If it's something you don't wear anymore, or even use them as like decor to put on gifts when you're wrapping stuff up. Make a little thing there, if they just to make it look pretty. There's all kinds of ways you can use up something like that. But this one in particular, like I said, it was just very special because it was my mother's. And since I didn't want to lose it, I decided I better stop wearing it because it fell off a few times. So, and there's another piece that I have. It's a big flower with the same colors. I'd like to do something like that with, and I might still. And then another one I wanted to bring up was somebody mentioned taking apart, if you're very, very careful. And I've done something similar before with the crochet. You can take apart old sweaters. Maybe they have holes in them, but if you're careful, you can take those apart. And just get that yarn, and you can reuse it for something else to make something new. I've done that with stuff I've made myself, and then decided I didn't like it, or didn't wear it, or didn't use it anymore. So then took it apart and then, use the yarn for something else. So there were some questions. Let's go back now that I'm done with it. I think those were all the things I was going to talk about. But yeah, keep throwing your ideas out there. Like someone says, make 3x5 recipe card by bending old silver fork or card holder. Is that what you mean? That's cool.
mm-hmm.
Let's see. Hubby got an old lawnmower handle and put wheels on it for rolling out barbed wire. Nice.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody was asking questions about.
Yeah, lawnmower handles are great for all kinds of different things. You can make stands and workhorses and all kinds of stuff with those. Yeah.
Somebody was asking about the chipper. Where did that go? Sorry. Now I can't find it. Somebody asked where you get the inspiration for your projects. Well, some of them are from me. Can you make me this?
Yeah, the honeydew list. You know, it's like you can't just go run out and buy it. So you got to figure out how to make one or fix it. Or she's like a bull in a china closet, you know. So
I am. I'm kind of rough on
you know,
things.
she walks through the kitchen. She doesn't have to touch anything, but something will break and I'll have to fix it.
It's not that bad. Yeah, Kathleen. I think. Well, I don't know how far up that comment is, Kathleen, but yeah, that countertop behind us was made with that. Correct. I thought I saw where somebody was asking something about the chipper.
So if you got any questions about the chipper, repost your question.
Oh, here it is.
Oh.
Okay, there was a couple. Did you make your chipper? No, he did not. Keep trying.
No, I kind of, well, no, I didn't. But I did have to repair it when I bought it. I found it on Facebook Marketplace and I got it for, I think, about a quarter of the price of a new one. And it had a bent, you know, come to find out it had a bent jack shaft in it. And I knew there was issues with it when I purchased it. The guy wasn't really trying to hide anything. He was saying, it makes noise. You know, he didn't know what was wrong with it. And so I studied it a little bit while I went and looked at it and thought I could probably fix this. And come to find out it was the jack shaft, the drive shaft that runs into the weighted wheel that holds the knives. That was bent. So I ordered up a new one and replaced that. I think I got a video.
Yeah, it hasn't. I don't think it's published yet. It might publish. Well, not this next week because there's another one on the Volkswagen Bug.
There's a few adjustments to do on it. I actually bought a few parts for it just to have on hand, wearable parts that I figure, you know, like extra blades, or they call them knives, extra knives, and some extra wearable parts on it. So if they do break, then I'll have them on hand.
Sorry, there was
belts. I bought new belts for it.
Which one is the most handsome? Okay, let me go back up here again. I shouldn't have scrolled down because now I got to find it again. So, okay, it was another one in regards to a chipper. Okay, so Brenda was asking, out in our shed, my dad had, I don't know why I'm not putting my glasses on so I can read it better, had a wood chipper, hasn't been started in years and years. Question, do you think it will still work? I assume it uses oil like a car and maybe gasoline.
Do you know if it's like a 3-point chipper that goes on the back of a tractor? If it's been stored in the shed, a good rule of thumb is to like take if it's a 3-point chipper, you can take where the PTO comes into the chipper itself, and see if you can't rotate that that cutter head. If you can, the chances are pretty good that it's still just fine. If not, you might have to disassemble it, find out what's making it froze up. Usually those things will have bearings on each side of them that the drive shaft or the chipper shaft will run on. And if you might have to change a few bearings out or something, but typically those things are pretty hardy. Other than sharpening knives and changing the belts, the drive belts, those are the two big nemesis on those things. Those are wearable points on those things. And if you replace those or grease it up good, it just might be stoved up a little bit from setting. Sometimes you might have to take like a pipe wrench or something like that to give you more leverage so you can get the shaft to turn and exercise that, lube up the bearings, and check the knives on it to see how good those are. But if you can just get the thing to turn on the PTO, it's got hope.
Libby said, if you can imagine it, you can make it. Usually better than you can buy. Right. Well, it's like I've been using that adage a lot. The thing about the necessity is the mother of invention. And, you know, I know most of you have heard that adage, but she is rebooting. Okay. It's that whole idea is like, if you really need something, you're going to figure out a way to make it work. And you might be just inventing something new or something that's just going to work for you. It may not be perfect, but you can, I don't know. I'm always,
And that's true. That's true when it comes to, the less money you have or whatever like that, the more inventive you get. The more money we have, it's like, well, I'll just go buy one instead of putting all the thought and time into building one. Because basically, if you're building it from scratch and you're trying to imagine it, it may or may not be better than the guy that invented it before you, and that's put all the R&D into it, and they can mass produce it. A lot of times with mass production, they start to cheapen up on things. They make things out of plastic instead of steel, or make it a couple of grades less, a cheaper steel, a thinner steel, and they try to get by that way. But if you're building it yourself, you sometimes, if you have the bigger chunk of angle iron, you think, well, I really need this extra strength right here, then yeah, I mean, that's a true statement. You can a lot of times build something more robust and better than you can buy it. But there are some things, depending on the technical investment in that thing, like a chipper. There's a lot of moving parts on that thing. You might be better off to find one used or even broke down. But before you buy it, do a little research on that thing and say, okay, well, this Woods chipper, or this, I have a Wood Max chipper. It's a 3-point chipper. I wouldn't put it in the quality of heavy industrial, but it is an 8-inch chipper. It will suffice for all my needs. It's not as fast as a big industrial pull behind chipper, but it'll do what I want it to do. And just simple things like this, I'm going to make this a little stronger than it was before, so that part shouldn't break anymore. But yeah, inventing things or working with stuff, whether it's sewing or fabrication or woodworking or whatever it is, it keeps your mind working. It keeps your mind young longer. And right now I'm working on this water wheel idea. When I get time to work on it, I peck away at it, think of different things to do. It may or may not work. So.
Okay, there's a question I want to address before I lose it. So Lucy, before I lose the question, not before I lose
She's
it.
already lost it. But
so Lucy says, I saw a video that said not to use honey to ferment garlic ginger because honey could be contaminated from bee poop and other things and can easily create botulism. Now I'm scared. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. There's always somebody out there creating some new fear factor. Let me ask you this. Would you eat honey by itself?
Or from the store?
Or whatever. Would you just eat the honey plain? Well, if this is true, then any honey you eat can have botulism in it. And then so now we should all be afraid of honey and stop eating honey altogether. Fermenting garlic, ginger, or anything in honey isn't going to change that. And, honey is one of those things in the Bible people were encouraged to eat as long as you didn't eat too much or it'll make you sick. But
Too much for good things. A bad
honey's
thing.
good for you. Raw honey is good for you. And fermenting things or infusing things into raw honey is going to be good for you. And people have been doing it for ages and ages. There's and Lucy, I hope don't take this as I'm not trying to lecture you. Yeah, I get upset with people that just randomly come up with stuff and then
Fear
start
monger.
spreading this stuff, and then somebody else will take it and then they'll make a video on it and then start scaring people away from good, natural, healthy stuff. And I was just saying this, I think, on Wednesday's live show about how people are afraid to, I had somebody afraid of citrus peels because they heard they were toxic. Somebody else afraid of oregano because they heard it was toxic. When I was growing up, I always thought because one person told me this, the white sap inside the stems of dandelion was toxic and it could kill you. I mean, no, these things are all healthy things. They have lots of health benefits. And either it's people just making stuff up or mishearing things and then just.
I think a lot of people, that you read a headline, eating honey will give you botulism. And so immediately go and you click on it. And that's what they're looking for. They're looking for your clicks.
Yep.
Anything that you eat, you can get sick from. That's the hard facts. Anything you eat, anything you ingest, anything there's all kinds of stuff out there you can breathe in that can cause you problems. You can get sick from it. But I think it's up to us to do our due diligence to try to make sure you have clean practices when it comes to cooking, canning, preserving, clean countertops, all those different things. But our bodies are made to fight off some of these things. But
Right.
I mean, my goodness, I mean, how do we make it over, so many thousands of years? How do we get by? And we have technology now that has been so well advanced that back in the day, even Native Americans, they hung stuff out to dry and they ate it over the course of the year. And shoot, even my dad, I mean, they cooked and they preserved meat in the wintertime in salt. And
Yep.
people, it's good to study up on this stuff.
Right.
And to know that it's there and be aware of proper handling and whatnot. But people have everybody so up in arms and scared. And I mean, you're just being wise by being concerned about it.
Right.
But on the same token, it's like, got to ask yourself the question. It's like, how did we make it? Okay. We believe in a young earth. So how do we make it for 6,000 years? We made it. See, some people did get sick. Some people did get, foodborne diseases and airborne diseases and sanitary diseases, and they died. And there's plagues and all kinds of stuff that happened because of it. But yeah, I mean, there's so many things at our disposal that we can practice clean handling of foods. And anyway, that's my little soapbox.
Yeah. I'm going to answer a few more questions. I'm probably going to have to go. I got a lot of stuff to do, video editing and whatnots and chores and so on. So, okay, here I am again. Tebeth, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I personally don't care for kombucha. I haven't made it in probably about 20 years, but I never heated it. So I don't know if that's what people are doing. Making kombucha is very similar to making vinegar because all kombucha is vinegar made from some kind of tea, whether it be black tea, oolong tea, green tea. It's basically all it is. I mean, yeah, it's just that people just keep using the mother over and over, which is, that's good. But
Yeah, don't drink kombucha.
so
It'll kill you.
I can't answer that question
'Cause I don't
about
like
that. The about it, yeah, about it getting overheated. Maybe somebody else can, but that's just not my thing. I tried to get into it again several years ago, and I'm like, nah. I'd rather just keep making my own vinegar, natural sodas out of my fermentation starter and juice. Okay, and then somebody asked about, I bought some dandelion root. What should I make with it? You can tincture it. You can make teas with it. I often will add it when I have it. I haven't dug up dandelion root in a long time. Some people roast it and use it as a coffee replacement, or you can just add it to your herbal teas for some extra nutrition boost. There's a lot of good things in dandelion root, in the stems, in the flowers, in the leaves, all parts of the dandelion. How did us old folks as kids eat grass? Well, yeah, we ate grass.
Clover.
Even as a kid, long before I knew that roses were safe to eat, I would eat sneak out in the backyard, eat my grandma's rose petals because I'd sneak one. I wouldn't like just because I like the taste of them.
My sister used to eat dog food. Hope she didn't listen
All
to this
the
video. I
things
just
we've
told her.
lived through.
But I used to go out and eat oats out of the oat bag for the
for the horses,
for the wild. The horses and we used to raise all kinds of livestock, but yeah,
yeah, it's just getting worse.
And for all I know,
the
there's
time.
probably been mice that were in that feed bag for all I know. But yeah, I mean, not that you should take lightly, rodent, where rodents have been, because there are diseases that they carry. But yeah, I don't know how I made it. Maybe that's part of the reason why I'm so dingy now, is because I maybe ate something I shouldn't have.
Yeah, well, there was a local kid around here that used to like to eat slugs.
Oh,
like live slugs. I've heard those can get stuck in your throat. Whatever.
Well, actually,
I don't know if he chewed them or what he did. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just yuck. But basically, yeah. Okay, gross. Anyway.
I suppose you're hungry enough.
Too much skillet, Patrick. That's what it is.
That's what it is. And dinger in a wooden watch, that because been abused so much around here.
And I should say this, that nobody should feel stupid for asking any of these questions. I mean, you've been told lies, and you have good reason to ask and good reason to be afraid.
Right.
But just remember, I mean, you can always look this stuff up. I mean, botulism is real, but it is far more rare than they want you to believe. And people are, you think of all, like salmonella is another one. We know it's real. We know it can happen. But how many people were growing up licking the batter off of the, the spoons and the thing, whatever it was, mom says, here, you want to clean this off? Yes, of course. The cake batter.
Chocolate.
That's got raw eggs in it.
Yeah.
And the cookie dough, raw eggs. And,
well, even cakes today, right? You put the frosting on the cake, isn't it got raw eggs in it?
Not the frosting, but the cake batter does. But shoot, I mean, I'm still alive. I eat mayonnaise that I make from raw eggs. I'm still alive. I've never got salmonella, ever. I don't know anyone personally who's ever gotten salmonella, but I can tell you everybody I know has eaten raw eggs, whether it be in the form of cake batter or cookie dough. Yet today it's like everybody's so afraid. And then it's like every time I turn around, there's another thing. Oh, botulism.
Well, I tell you what, I think they're trying to brainwash us into being afraid of producing our own food. They're trying to get us to all buy stuff from the store. And how many times have you heard of an E. coli breakout in the salad section or whatever?
In the meat.
Yeah,
You
I
buy
mean,
at the
you
store.
go and buy stuff at the store. You go to a butcher
Beavers.
shop. If you went to a butcher shop, you probably would never eat meat again, which is something you really should do, in my opinion. But
Eat meat. We should eat meat. It's
yeah,
just got to be
it's
good,
like
healthy
I'm not
meat.
going to be a vegetarian, but I mean, they got us so afraid. I mean, if you went into a butcher shop, I've been into some butcher shops that are pretty disgusting. And you get your meat, it's all wrapped up, it looks good, you throw it in the freezer, you buy half a beef or whatever like that, and you cook it, and you don't think anything of it. But
You're taking a chance with anything you buy, and
anything you stick in your mouth, you're taking a chance.
they're supposed to be following these strict guidelines.
Yeah.
But like somebody said earlier about you probably getting more rat poop in your chocolate or rat hairs in your chocolate
or in your grain.
Yeah, the thing is, they're not just because something is, supposedly approved by the government.
Don't they allow so many? Don't they
Yes.
allow so many bugs or
Yep.
whatever in?
Yep.
They
They do. As long as you only have X amount of rat turds in your whatever, it's okay. It's
something like that.
so
anyway.
so people will trust that. And what, okay, I'm going to go buy this bag of salad, even though just last week there was yet another recall on the bag salads because of salmonella or E. coli. And I mean, all the time. Yet, then you got people on the other side that I don't know. It's just okay. We're getting on that soap.
When I work
eggnog with raw milk, typically, yeah, or raw milk or raw eggs, both. But I think it's cooked a little bit. I haven't made eggnog in a long, long time.
Yes, in the water industry, you're allowed 7 million fibers per liter of asbestos fibers.
Oh my gosh!
So if
really?
if you go one more beyond that, it exceeds the MCL, the maximum contaminant level. So anyway, you can consume it, you just can't breathe it.
I was laughing at Gudrun.
What is she up to?
I just licked my cookie batter, ate warm cookies too. So if you don't see me again, you'll know what happened.
It's good to laugh about this stuff, but I understand the concern. I get it.
Yeah. They use it as a scare tactic. I absolutely think that. I know people just say, "Oh, we're crazy for talking this way," but the thing is, I think it's crazy that things that people have been eating and doing and practicing for centuries is now all taboo and scary and dangerous and whether it be water bath canning low acid foods or eating raw honey or raw eggs or whatever or raw milk or hopefully I don't get in trouble for saying that word. I don't know. I mean, people have been doing it for centuries, and all of a sudden now we have to be afraid of that. But we can trust what we buy at the store because that's been approved by the powers that be.
Right.
Yet, E. coli.
And the funny thing about it is, industry is there to make the dollar. Push, get this product out as quickly as possible. We'll cut corners here, we'll cut corners there. But when you're producing your own food, you're a little more cognizant of what you're doing with that. You're a little more careful, and because you're the one consuming it. But the people out there producing it, they might be good farms. They might be good they might have good practice and everything like that. But they don't care as much as you do. So if there's something that's going into that product, and oh gosh, if we found a rat family or a mouse family in this bunch of grain here, just take them out, and we're not going to get rid of this whole silo full of grain because it's rat infested. Maybe not. I'm just making stuff up, but that kind of stuff goes on.
Mountain Mama, I'm scared of eating Tide Pods. Now that's something you should be.
Don't be afraid. You want to clean out your inside.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh.
Don't eat
great.
Tide Pods.
Okay. Well, I think I covered all my points. And yeah, and even if you're watching this in replay, feel free to throw some more comments below the video once it's done of some thoughts and ideas of things you like to recycle and reuse, upcycle. It's a part of the self-sufficiency thing. It's part of being more frugal, making the most out of all the things that we have. And like the jar thing, there's some people that can't get good canning jars. So all they have are jars that are recycled from things they purchased at the store. Yes, use them. As long as the lids are in good shape, you can do this. I mean, the bottles, all this stuff. And I don't know. I think we can learn a lot by just realizing we don't have to run down the store and buy a package of paper towels. We've got a whole bunch of scraps or old socks or t-shirts that we can use instead.
Old t-shirts make great shop rags, and
Yeah, he uses a lot of them in his shop too, for greasy stuff or whatever he needs them for. And
I'll even go as far as if I use paper towels for something, if they're clean enough, I won't throw them away. I'll just use them for like soaking up oil or whatever like that.
Yeah, making the most of all of that.
I got a bag out there just for that. If I have an oil spill or something, I can use old shop towels for absorbing oil.
Right. Don't you think, Dreamy Music Gal, don't you think it's all in common sense and moderation of anything we consume? Absolutely. But the problem is like I was talking about on Wednesday, just like the kids in the school, they're forced into a box. They're forced into this box. They're not taught common sense. They're just forced into this box. Don't think outside this box. Think only inside this box. And so they're being taught this from a young age, and common sense is out the window. It's gone. There's,
Well, can I argue that a little bit? Common sense will always be there. It will just change the definition of what common sense is. So if it's common sense that, don't walk out into traffic because you're going to get hit by a car. Okay, well, that makes sense. But if somebody keeps pumping into your mind that it's okay to go play jacks out in the freeway, we're going to think, okay, well, then that's fine to do. That's going to be the common sense. That's going to be the common denominator of the way people think. It's just like
you start to doubt your own. Someone
there's
keeps telling you the sky is red.
Morality issues out there that promote and say certain things are good and natural. That's becoming the new common sense anymore.
It's common.
It's common, and it makes sense to the general public, but to some people who are old and antiquated like us, well, it's not. Our common sense is different than the new definition. So, yeah, those things kind of change over time. So,
I don't know why I don't put my glasses on. I was just saying, put the glasses on, you get that weird, dumb glare. But anyway, well, we should call it a day on here. As much as I love being on here, it's always hard to leave. I know I said this last time. It is. It's hard to leave. I enjoy reading your comments. I enjoy the interaction. I really, really do. It's so much fun. And I learned just as much from you guys. And I really appreciate all the kind comments. But I learn a lot from you guys too, and I have over the years. And it's a lot of the interaction I've had from a lot of you through the years, and some ideas I've picked up on and incorporated them. And so we can all. There's not one person that has everything all figured out. I don't know it all. I don't have it all figured out. I'm learning as I go, and part of that journey is the interaction I get with you guys. And so I really appreciate it.
Yeah, don't stop learning until you stop breathing.
Yeah. So anyway, yes, I probably should get going. Okay, I better answer this question. How many watch hours are on RCH2? So currently I'm at 3,700. So I'm actually I've already been able to submit the application process, which was good because it takes a while to get that in. But by the time they look at my channel and see that I'm not breaking the rules there, at least, hopefully I'm not, unless they move the goalpost yet again, then by the time that gets approved, I should have all my watch hours in place that I need to be able to put ads over there. And well, there are already ads there. It's just that they're making 100% of the profit, but I'll be able to actually earn the 70% from the ads, and then be able to control a little better where all these ads are going. So there's not ads playing all through my videos, which irritates the heck out of me. But anyway, oh, thank you, Lucy. So yes, I said we were going to go, and I'm still talking. I'm good
Well,
at
you didn't
that.
say exactly when you were going to go. You just said you were going to go. Could be 3 hours from now.
So yeah, it was a good time all. And again, thanks so much for coming. And I hope you, I hope you all, blah. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thanks for coming. Take care, and God bless. See ya.